Chapter 1, The child has grown up, let's get a divorce. The child has grown up, let's get a divorce. Liu Na. Okay. Jiang Chen expressionless. This night Jiang Chen was drunk alone and the whole person felt relieved. 20 years. He and Liu Na have been together for 20 years. In the past 20 years, it is no exaggeration to describe his life as having lived like years. Because he and Liu Na were not married because of love. Did not enter the marriage palace because of love. Life after marriage can be imagined. Before getting married, he felt that the meaning of marriage should be. If something happens, I can have a personal discussion. I'm bored and can talk nonsense together. I can squeeze on a table for a meal after a day of tiredness. Life is too long, there must always be a personal company. Honest company, down to earth miss. But. Since graduating from university, his girlfriends are not as good as one. I really should have a sentence circulating on the internet that year. When girls go to society, they will meet boys who are better than school, and it is difficult for boys to find girls who are better than in school. He didn't understand the meaning of this sentence back then, and later he understood. Just because I understood it and because I couldn't meet the right person, I got married with Liu Na with the idea of living together. This marriage is like stepping into hell to him and he is deeply tortured every day. I, Jiang Chen, lived for half my life and started from scratch. Now I have billions of assets. Everyone thinks that Jiang Chen is a truly successful person. But who knows that I lost my marriage in a mess. After Jiang Chen laughed at himself, he picked up a bottle of liquor and poured it with his head up. I'm still the same boy before and I haven't changed a bit. I'm is only a test, the faith in my heart has not dimished. Hearing the singing, Jiang Chen opened his eyes in a daze. When his vision became clearer and clearer, his pupils instantly condensed and there was no sleep. He sat up abruptly and looked at the environment in the room. As he looked at it, his breathing changed slightly and the speed of his heart beating gradually increased. Involuntary memories of 20 years ago appeared in his mind. Dreaming. Or rebirth. Jiang Chen severely pinched his thigh with his hand and a feeling of pain came in instantly, which made Jiang Chen stunned. He was born again. After reading novels for more than 10 years, I have long been immune to rebirth, but I didn't expect it to be reborn in reality. It's good to be born again. The marriage life of the previous life made him live like years. There is nothing worthy of nostalgia. The only thing that makes him miss is his daughter, but she has been reborn now, even if she is still with Liu Na in this life, it is impossible to give birth to the daughter of the previous life. Since I have been born again, I must never make the same mistakes in this life. Jiang Chen's eyes are firm. In this life, if he gets married, he must marry the person he loves. Otherwise, marriage is the tomb. I'm the same boy before. The ringtone of the phone call was still ringing and Jiang Chen gradually recovered. He picked up the phone and looked at the caller interface. It was his mother's call. Connected. Hey mom. Jiang Chen. Did you overslept again? I didn't answer any of the 8 calls. Look at the time. Do you know the blind date at noon today? Jiang Ma said angrily during the call. Blind date? Jiang Chen was stunned. He remembered that he started dating in 2021. Because he has gradually confessed his fate from this year. In 2020, he talked with 5 girlfriends. All of these 5 girlfriends are the best, making him feel that he will never find true love in this life. So in 2021, the blind date began, 10 blind dates, and finally frustrated, married the last blind date daughter Liu Na. Why did you go last night? I even forgot about the blind date today. When Jiang's mother heard what her son said, she immediately understood that her son had forgotten the blind date today. Can't help but explode. Jiang Chen. 5 minutes later, I hung up the phone. Just this time. Jiang Chen didn't have the slightest affection for blind dates. He used to think that a blind date was to give the other person a chance to get to know each other and if he could feel it, he could develop further. But when he really went on a blind date, he realized that most people on the blind date didn't think so. In their eyes, the blind date is to weigh the pros and cons, get what they need, and exchange them at the same price. Even. Some blind date girls try to marry rich people by way of blind date. The most important thing is that the blind date girls have average or even poor conditions, but they are living in dreams and want to turn over directly through the blind date. This can't even reach the equivalent exchange. But those blind date girls who are in poor conditions think they are worthy of high-quality men. When Jiang Chen thought of his previous blind date, he still feels sick. Ding. Feel the host's mood swings. Blind date sign-in system is being activated. Ding. Activation succeeded. The host can break around for the man during the blind date. Successfully break around and get a chance to sign in. Sign in is successful, you can get sign in rewards. Successfully break back 10 rounds for the man to upgrade the system. A mechanical voice rang in Jiang Chen's mind, which shocked his mind. The system in the novel. Jiang Chen was dumbfounded and shocked. As an old bookworm, he naturally knew what the system was. I just didn't expect that the system bound him. The rebirth has all appeared, and it's not surprising that there is a system. Jiang Chen quickly accepted the appearance of the system, although his heart was still a little uneasy. He asked curiously, why bind me? Ding. Nowadays, the society is prosperous and the sun is declining, the divorce rate has risen sharply for many years in a row, and the marriage rate has fallen sharply for many years in a row. The mission of this system is to promote marriage harmony. Increase the happiness index of couples. After a comprehensive inspection of the system, the host fully complies with the basic binding conditions and specific conditions of this system. After listening to Jiang Chen, he understood that the divorce rate in the previous life had indeed risen for many years, and the marriage rate had also fallen for many years, and he also knew the real reason for all this. Jingle. At this moment, Jiang Chen's WeChat sounded a reminder, interrupting Jiang Chen's thoughts. Jiang Chen took a look at the message, which was sent by his mother. Urge him to go to the place of the blind date. Jiang Chen looked at the chat history with his mother before, and he couldn't help but sneer. He remembers the first blind date in his previous life, the women's football team was late for 40 minutes. The reason for being late was traffic jam on the road. And he checked whether there was a traffic jam on the previous section, and it turned out that there was no traffic jam at all. Later, he felt that the blind date girl didn't take the blind date at all, and he found a traffic jam to stop him, so he went straight away. Jiang Chen didn't say anything and went to wash. Originally, he thought that his mother had arranged a blind date, so it would be better for him to go, otherwise he could not explain it to the family. And now that he is bound to the system, it is different. Fortunately, only blind dates were held 10 times. Jiang Chen thought to himself, if he kept going on blind dates, he would definitely get bored. Chapter 2 People who are not on time and blind dates are also worthy to talk about respect. After Jiang Chen finished washing, he checked the time. It was 10:30 in the morning, and the date of the blind date was 11 o'clock. Jiang Chen left the rental house he rented and drove a second-hand cruise he bought to the blind date Wang Yuan building. But in 20 minutes, he reached the Wang Yuan building, parked the car, and walked to the gate. Sir, how many? A waiter at the door of Wang Yuan building asked with a smile. 1. Jiang Chen said. Sir, please. The waiter led Jiang Chen to table A1 with a faint smile. Jiang Chen sat down and immediately began to order. Gugu, after ordering a meat, 2 vegetables, and a bottle of beverage, he handed the ordered menu to the waiter. The waiter smiled and took the menu, then left. In 15 minutes, the first dish was brought over. Jiang Chen started eating directly, and he knew that the blind date girl Chen Ting would arrive at 11:40, so he wouldn't wait foolishly. After another 10 minutes, all the dishes were ready. Jiang Chen glanced at the time at this time. It was 11:20, and there were still 20 minutes before Chen Ting, the daughter of the blind date, arrives. And in these 20 minutes, he was almost ready to eat. At 11:37. Outside Wang Yuan building, a woman who appeared to be about 25 years old got out of the taxi. She looks about 165 centimeters tall and thin, wearing a white dress, a pair of lady sunglasses, and a straw hat on her head. She glanced at the entrance and exit of Wang Yuan building, then looked down at the phone. There are live photos of Jiang Chen and basic information in the phone. Name: Jiang Chen. Age: 24 years old. Height: 181 centimeters. Weight: 139 kilograms. Education: graduated from 2 books. In good health. Phone number: 153. My parents are alive and a younger sister is in her junior year. The family runs a small supermarket of 80 square meters. Work: babysitter. There is a used car. The family conditions are a bit worse than the previous blind date men, but more handsome than the previous blind date men, but the job of a babysitter is too undecent. In general, Jiang Chen can marry, but I like to be obedient. After we get married in the future, the financial power of the family must be in my control. Chen Ting averted her gaze and looked at the door of Wang Yuan Tower. She exuded a sense of self-confidence from the inside out. Before coming, she had already prepared a strategy. Analyzing Jiang Chen from various angles and finally formulated a set of pure mind control plan to achieve her goal. Jiang Chen's overall conditions are very good and logically speaking, Jiang Chen shouldn't be reduced to a blind date. After all, boys with good looks and good conditions will not lack girls around. But Jiang Chen has fallen into a blind date. She guessed that Jiang Chen's life circle might be narrow and she couldn't get in touch with girls often. There is another possibility, which may be due to personality. Jiang Chen has fallen into a blind date, no matter what the reason, the situation has fallen to a disadvantage. Most blind date men are eager to get out of singles, thinking about getting married as soon as possible and solving lifelong issues. I deliberately arrived 40 minutes late and Jiang Chen has been waiting here, which shows that Jiang Chen is very eager to solve lifelong events through blind dates. Jiang Chen is likely to have the attribute of licking a dog. After all, I was deliberately late for 40 minutes. Any boy with a temper would probably just leave. Long, handsome, good family conditions, with the attributes of licking dogs, it's perfect. Tianjing was happy and she fell in love with Jiang Chen as early as when she saw Jiang Chen's materials. It's just that she prefers to be obedient, she wants to be the head of the family. She was deliberately late and also wanted to give Jiang Chen a bit of prestige. She wants Jiang Chen to realize that she does not have a strong need for Jiang Chen. And Jiang Chen himself had a strong demand for her. In this way, she will automatically be placed in a high position. And Jiang Chen will involuntarily lower his position. In this way. What can be achieved? Dimensionality reduction below. Tianjing didn't think about it anymore and walked towards the gate confidently. "Hello madam, how many are you?" the waiter at the gate asked with a smile. "I'm looking for someone," Tianjing said and walked in. She scanned the hall and finally fixed her gaze on a young man at table A1. Jiang Chen. Tianjing's eyes were unbelievable. She never expected that Jiang Chen was already eating and it seemed that she was almost finished eating. This is completely different from what she expected. She originally wanted to give Jiang Chen a high-profile posture. But now, it directly disrupted her plan. At the same time, it made her very angry. "I didn't even wait for her to come, so I ate it first. And look at the little leftovers left on this table. This Jiang Chen probably ordered the food long ago." NS. With resentment, Tianjing walked quickly to table A1 and directly put the bag in her hand on the table. "Jiang Chen. Did you eat it before I arrived? Do you know what respect is?" Tianjing said angrily without restraining her voice. This shout directly attracted the attention of the guests in the lobby and they couldn't help looking at them one by one. People who are 40 minutes late for a blind date also deserve to talk about respect. Jiang Chen glanced at her and couldn't help feeling sick in his heart. When this kind of person utters the word respect, he feels that the word respect has been insulted. Tianjing's face turned gloomy after hearing this, but seeing the eyes of so many guests in the lobby focused on her, she was a little unbearable, staring at Jiang Chen and asked angrily, "The blind date information left my phone number, you won't give it to me?" Called to ask about the situation. "Why didn't you call me to explain why?" Jiang Chen looked at Tianjing, feeling even more sick in his heart. This Tianjing is quite arrogant. After Tianjing heard this, her face was gloomy and her face flushed because she didn't know how to refute it for a while. She glanced at the guests in the hall and found that their eyes had been focused on herself, which made her feel uncomfortable. At the same time, I secretly hated Jiang Chen. 5 seconds later. Tianjing thought of the reason. She stared at Jiang Chen and said solemnly, "There is a traffic jam on the road and my phone is dead. How can I contact you?" "Which way did you go?" Jiang Chen said faintly. "Tianjing Middle Road," Tianjing said casually. Jiang Chen had been waiting here for 40 minutes and would not know the situation on Tianjing Middle Road. "I came from Tianjing Middle Road and I didn't see traffic jams." At this moment, a middle-aged man couldn't help but said that he had just witnessed this scene not long after he arrived and he also understood that Tianjing was not on time for the blind date and was scheming to deceive Jiang Chen. After listening to the many guests in the hall, they all looked at Tianjing with a little playfulness. At first they thought that Tianjing was really late for the blind date and they failed to contact Jiang Chen in time. But now. It was demolished in a second. Chapter 3. What else to say? Tianjing saw someone demolish the platform, her face suddenly became more ugly, her heart was very angry and she glared at the middle-aged man and said coldly, "I'm afraid you haven't reached Tianjing Middle Road when I was stuck in traffic. You didn't arrive until the road was cleared." Tianjing Middle Road. After hearing this, the middle-aged man looked a little unnatural. He originally wanted to expose Tianjing's lies in public. But what Tianjing said is also possible. Maybe there was a traffic jam on Tianjing Middle Road half an hour ago and when he drove past, Tianjing Middle Road had been cleared. Many guests originally looked at Tianjing playfully, waiting to see Tianjing's jokes, but listening to Tianjing's words, it is also possible. At this time. Jiang Chen had already dialed a phone call, "Uncle Yu, to ask you something, you are on duty on Tianjing Middle Road, has there been a traffic jam on Tianjing Middle Road in the last 40 minutes? "No, why do you ask this?" Uncle Yu curiously asked on the other end of the phone. After chatting a few words, he hung up the phone. And at the moment. The quiet needle drop in the hall can be heard. Everyone's eyes fell on Tianjing one after another. When Jiang Chen called, no one made a sound. And Jiang Chen is making a hands-free call again. Everyone heard the voices of Jiang Chen and Uncle Yu on the phone. So Uncle Yu is on duty at Tianjing Middle Road. It must be a traffic policeman or an auxiliary policeman. If Chen Ting said just now, it still makes people believe. But now, everyone thinks Chen Ting is disgusting. Lies. What else do you want to say? Do you want me to go to Tianjing Middle Road to find someone to check it? Jiang Chen looked at Chen Ting lightly. Chen Ting's face flushed at the moment and her whole body was like a grasshopper in a frying pan and she wished to leave here immediately. She lied several times, however, she was first demolished by a guest who was killed halfway and now she was demolished again by Jiang Chen. She has no face to stay here anymore. Before leaving, she gave Jiang Chen a ferocious look, then picked up her bag and quickly turned and left. After Chen Ting left, many guests just started talking. This girl doesn't blush when she lied. She seems to lie often, said a middle-aged guest. This girl's behavior is really shameful, hey. Everyone is complaining about Chen Ting. For Jiang Chen, it was just a bit disgusting and he didn't pay attention anymore. Bing. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking around for the man. You have a chance to sign in. Check in. Sign in. Jiang Chen thought silently, but also a little curious about what rewards would be offered for signing in. Bing. Congratulations on your successful sign-in. At God-level cooking talent skills. For an instant. There are many more recipes in Jiang Chen's mind and he also feels that he can cook any dish easily and can make people linger after a bite. This sign-in reward is also good. Jiang Chen thought to himself that being able to eat delicious food every day can also be happy. Waiter, check out. After Jiang Chen paid the bill, he walked out. As soon as he got into the car and fastened his seatbelt, a WeChat alert sounded on his cell phone. Jiang Chen glanced at the WeChat message on his mobile phone and when he saw the name of the message note, he couldn't help but tremble. Information. Pin ran. Something has happened to the company. I have to go there for a while. Aunt Chen asked for leave because of something at home. Can you come and bring your children? At the same time. Pin ran transferred 1,000 yuan to Jiang Chen. Transfer note. Overtime pay. When Jiang Chen saw Qin Ran's name and the message she had sent, memories of previous lives appeared in his mind. In a previous life, Qin Ran found him and said that her child fell in love with him when she saw him on the road and the child was nagging about seeing him every day. After that, Qin Ran directly offered him a monthly salary of RMB 30,000 and took a break from the first 6 months and wanted him to take the child. At that time, his heart was directly moved. After all, 30,000 yuan a month for him who has just graduated from a second book, 30,000 yuan a month is attractive enough. He agreed on the spot. I want to save some money first and when I have the opportunity in the future, I can also have some capital to start a business. 2021. Jiang Chen whispered softly, his eyes seemed to conjure up memories and he was thinking about it. 2021 is the most memorable year of his life. In his previous life, he married Liu Na, the blind date daughter. Also this year, because I worked in Qin Ran's home for a few months, I was influenced by Qin Ran on weekdays and learned a higher level. In addition, Qin Ran was only 2 years older than him. All aspects are much better than him. Living with someone who is the same age as him but who is too much beyond him directly inspired him and changed his life. After years of hard work, he has a real net worth of billions. However, when he became famous in his 30s. In his spare time, he scanned the moments of his friends and found pictures of Qin Ran's 2 daughters. And his sister was beside him at the time. He still remembered his sister saying, "These 2 little girls look a bit like you." He does not mean that. This directly reminded him of many things. In 2017, he went to the hospital to donate Jing. In 2021, Qin Ran asked him to play with his children. At that time, the 2 children Qin Ran gave birth through IVF were also 4 years old. The age of the child coincides with the timeline of his donation of essence. At that time, a lot of thoughts popped up in his mind madly. Qin Ran wanted him back then, really to play with his children. This crazy idea kept him awake at night. Later, he used his personal connections to find out who used the essence he donated back then. This check. Qin Ran was found. This result, like a bolt from the blue, made him unable to recover for a long time. At that time, he understood that Qin Ran found him back then, probably because his real purpose was not to let him play with his children. But want to. Jiang Chen shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He sent a message to Qin Ran. I'm in the city center and will be there in 15 minutes. 10 seconds later. Qin Ran sent a message. I'll go to the company first and the child is watching TV on the sofa. Jiang Chen. Good. Jiang Chen put away his mobile phone and drove to the villa area Tianjing Garden, Qin Ran's residence. But in 13 minutes, Jiang Chen arrived at the south entrance of Tianjing Garden, where non-resident vehicles were not allowed to enter unless the head of the household agreed, and he could enter and leave at will after registering the information. The road was unimpeded. Jiang Chen drove to villa number 001 in Tianjing Garden, parked the car, and after successful facial recognition, he walked in. Walking in, he saw the two babies. When he saw the two children, an inexplicable meaning came out from the bottom of his heart involuntarily. These two babies, from a biological point of view, are his own flesh and blood. Dad. The two children who were originally sitting on the sofa watching the cartoons were excited when they saw Jiang Chen and ran directly to Jiang Chen. Chapter 4 Qin ran. Jiang Chen was taken aback when he heard the two babies calling him dad, but he quickly remembered why the two babies called him father. The reason was the day before yesterday. When he went to pick up the two babies from school, the little friend in the kindergarten asked the two babies, "Why never saw your father come to pick you up?" When the little friend in the kindergarten asked this, he saw that the expressions of the two children were much dimmed. It seemed that the lack of a father caused a sense of inferiority in his heart. Later, he didn't want to see such a scene anymore, so he walked to the side of the two children. "Who knows?" After seeing him, the two babies directly grabbed his hand and said to the kindergarten friend, "This is our father." After the day before yesterday, the two children prayed for him to pick them up from school in the name of their father. But he couldn't bear to refuse, so he agreed. "Hey." Jiang Chen sighed in his heart, and his heart was aching. In his previous life, he only stayed in Qin Ran's house for 3 months. When they were separated from the two children cried sadly for a long time. He who didn't know the truth in his previous life couldn't bear it. What's more, now he knows that he is the biological father of the two children. "Dad, why did you go today?" It was Qin Zhinian who asked, and hearing the name gave people a sense of immortality. Although Qin Zhinian is still young, she has already begun to have a beautiful child. Among her peers, she is definitely one of the cutest, most beautiful, and most immortal girls. Dressed up is also very fairy, dressed in a blue and white hanfu, coupled with a delicate and lovely face and a shawl and long hair, the fairy is fluttering, like a little fairy walking out of the painting. Going to play with friends. Jiang Chen knelt down, with a loving smile on his face, gently squeezing Qin Zhinian's tender face. "Dad won't take us to play." It was Qin Ziyuan who spoke, and hearing the name gave people an ancient feeling. Like Qin Zhinian, she was beginning to be beautiful, and she was also one of the cutest, most beautiful, and most fairy-like girls among her peers. Dressed in the same fashion as Qin Zhinian, he was also dressed in hanfu, and his whole body was filled with a ray of immortality that could not eat the fireworks. At this time, Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan were obviously a little unhappy. Dad went out to play without them. Upon seeing this, Jiang Chen couldn't help but laugh. "Daddy will take you everywhere in the future." "Really?" The two children looked at Jiang Chen happily, as if their faces changed. "Really?" Jiang Chen smiled lovingly. "Hey. Hey." After listening, the two children happily kissed Jiang Chen's left and right cheeks. Jiang Chen. Afterwards, Jiang Chen played with the children all afternoon. Until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Jiang Chen smiled and said to the two children, "Daddy is going to cook, you two sit and watch cartoons for a while." Qin Zhinian raised his head and looked at Jiang Chen curiously. "Daddy still cooks?" "Dad's cooking skills are superb." Jiang Chen said with a smile, "Go to the cartoons, and Dad will cook." "Okay, I want to eat the food my father cooked." Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan said with excitement. Jiang Chen smiled, then walked to the kitchen, looked at the ingredients in the refrigerator, and finally decided to make 3 dishes and 1 soup. Braised pork, family portrait, chicken stewed with mushrooms, seaweed egg soup. Although they are all normal home-cooked dishes, Jiang Chen has signed the god-level culinary talent skills, and he is confident that he can make a meal that is unforgettable even after eating. Jiang Chen started cooking. Until 5:40 p.m. A tall figure walked into the villa. This tall figure, it is no exaggeration to say, no matter where it appears, it can immediately attract the attention of passers-by. If she appears in a dilapidated environment, she can instantly add color to the dilapidated environment. If she appears in a beautiful environment, it can instantly dim the beautiful things around her, as if she is as amazing as the protagonist no matter where she appears. Her figure is impeccable, the convex place is convex, the concave place is concave. As for the face, it is not too much to describe it as stunning, and even to describe it as stunning, there is a feeling that it does not match her face. In addition to the impeccable appearance, it is perfect to the extreme. Her temperament is also very attractive. Wearing a light seasoned dress, shirt and long skirt, coupled with its own temperament, it gives people an elegant and intellectual feeling. In addition to being elegant and intellectual, it also gives people a touch of indescribable feeling. It seems that the noble one can only look up. It seems that there is a kind of approach, but it also gives people a feeling of being 1,000 miles away. In short, it is necessary to keep a distance. The master of this figure is Qin Ran. Mother. Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan were watching cartoons, and when they saw Qin Ran coming, they immediately walked over and said happily, "Mom, Dad can cook, and I will be able to eat Dad's cooking later." After Qin Ran heard this, a faint look of surprise flashed in her eyes. She didn't expect Jiang Chen to still cook. She glanced at the direction of the kitchen. Although she was a little curious about Jiang Chen's cooking skills, she didn't look at it. Instead, she sat on the sofa to accompany the two children. 10 minutes passed. The kitchen door opened, and when the door opened, a tangy smell of food came in instantly. After the two babies smelled it, they felt very hungry and wanted to taste delicious food immediately. Qin Ran also smelled the scent of the food, and she was a little surprised at the bottom of her heart that Jiang Chen's food was so fragrant. At this moment, Jiang Chen walked out of the kitchen. When he saw Qin Ran, his eyes were slightly startled. Although he had been mentally prepared for a long time, when he really saw Qin Ran, he couldn't help but remember many things in his previous life. In his previous life, he had a heartfelt feeling for Qin Ran, but the gap between him and Qin Ran was too great. Facing Qin Ran, he felt a little inferior in his heart. He also knew that nothing could happen to him and Qin Ran. As a result, he directly extinguished the unrealistic illusion that had been born in his heart. "Dad, can I have dinner?" When the two babies smelled the scent of the food, they ran to Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen sweated slightly. When Qin Ran was away, he asked his father to respond. Now that Qin Ran is here, it feels a bit unnatural. Although the child called him dad, Qin Ran reluctantly acquiesced. "Wash your hands, and then eat," Jiang Chen said indulgently, and took the two children to wash their hands, and then he was going to the kitchen to serve food, and he saw that Qin Ran was already serving the food. Jiang Chen didn't say anything, took a few sets of chopsticks, and after serving 4 bowls of rice, he sat down. Because the two children were still young, it was a bit inconvenient to pick up dishes, so they picked up a few dishes for the two children. The two babies ate a few bites first, and then they saw that the eyes of the two babies were bright and the eating speed was obviously much faster. "Eat slowly, don't choke." Jiang Chen served a bowl of soup for the two babies and can drink some soup when they are choking. Chapter 5 Mom will ask the matchmaker again and give you another one. At this time, Qin Ran, who was sitting across from Jiang Chen, had many doubts in his heart. According to the information she had previously checked, Jiang Chen is not a chef, nor has he learned to cook systematically. The dishes that can be prepared are delicious in color, flavor, and taste even stronger than those made by many chefs. How can cooking skills be so strong without a long period of experience in spooning? Is it talent? Or was Jiang Chen only delving into these few dishes, so he cooked so well? Qin Ran could only think of such an explanation. She raised her eyes to look at Jiang Chen, making her look slightly startled. From Jiang Chen's look and behavior, she clearly felt that Jiang Chen was petting his own daughter, and that manner were too similar. After observing for a while, Qin Ran came to a conclusion. It may be that Jiang Chen simply likes his daughter, so he has such an attitude and behavior, instead of discovering that he used edging donated by Jiang Chen to make an IVF. "I'm still the same boy before and I haven't changed a bit. Time is only a test, the faith in my heart has not dimished." At this moment, Jiang Chen received a call from his cell phone. Jiang Chen glanced at it and it was his mother. "You don't need to think about Jiang Chen, knowing that my mother's call was asking about a blind date during the day." Jiang Chen glanced at Qin Ran. "I'll answer the call. Just pick it up here," Qin Ran said lightly. Jiang Chen hummed softly, then picked it up. "Hey mom." Jiang Chen. "How was the blind date today?" On the phone, Jiang's mother asked nervously, she was afraid that her son would be pornographic on the first blind date. After hearing this, Jiang Chen said truthfully, the blind date was set at 11 noon. She was late for 40 minutes and lied to me, saying that there was a traffic jam on Tianjing Middle Road and that her mobile phone was out of power and could not contact me in time. I called Uncle Yu and asked if there were any traffic jams on Middle Tianjing Road during that time. Jiang Chen didn't go on, saying that was enough. Although his parents want him to get married as soon as possible, they are not unreasonable people. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the phone and Jiang Ma said angrily, "This girl lied when she was late and her character is not good. Don't contact her anymore. Mom will ask the matchmaker again and give you another one." Jiang Chen smiled, "Okay. Well, that mom will hang up first." Jiang Ma. "Hang up." After Jiang Chen hung up the phone, he put away the phone. A faint strange color flashed in Qin Ran's eyes at this moment because the living room was quiet and Jiang Chen was not far away from her. She also heard what Jiang Ma said on the phone. Blind date. She didn't expect Jiang Chen to go on a blind date today. Qin Ran looked at Jiang Chen and asked faintly, do you think blind dates are reliable? Jiang Chen pondered for a while and said, looking at from which perspective, some people think that blind dates are the right ones to choose the ones they like. Both sides know the bottom line, but they just choose the right ones from the ones they like, but they may not have the foundation. Stable. Jiang Chen continued, some people think that blind dates are to give the other party a chance to get to know each other. If they come to chat, they will have in-depth contact. Compared with normal dating, the difference is that they already know each other's family before the blind date. If we are together behind, we can avoid the contradiction in the betrothal aspect because of the RV. After Qin Ran heard this, she looked at Jiang Chen somewhat unexpectedly. She didn't expect Jiang Chen to have such an understanding, and it also made her feel a little puzzled. She had been with Jiang Chen for a week, and before today, her impression of Jiang Chen was somewhat different from today's impression. Before Jiang Chen faced her a little inferiority. But now she couldn't feel that Jiang Chen had a low self-esteem, he looked neither humble nor arrogant. What made her unexpected was that Jiang Chen had already seen some thorough understanding of blind dates. Another thing she didn't expect was that Jiang Chen's cooking skills were more flavorful than many chefs' dishes. Qin Ran was a little confused. Her previous judgment on Jiang Chen should have been correct, but now Jiang Chen gave her a different feeling. Qin Ran pondered for a while and calmly said, as far as I know, many people get married through blind dates and they have no emotional foundation and they live with the idea of partnering and some have other purposes. Jiang Chen nodded lightly, the forest is big, everyone has it, it's normal. Qin Ran hummed softly, without saying anything, just thinking about it in his mind. A week ago, she found Jiang Chen and hired Jiang Chen to play with her children on the grounds that her daughter liked Jiang Chen. However, the real purpose in finding Jiang Chen was not to accompany her daughter. If it was only because her daughter liked Jiang Chen, she would never let a stranger come to her house. She could let Jiang Chen come to her house or even live indirectly. She had gone through a detailed investigation in the early stage and it was not an impromptu decision. Qin Ran drank a glass of water at this time. She glanced at Jiang Chen who was picking up vegetables for her daughter and her thoughts changed. She had an IVF 4 years ago, using the Jing donated by Jiang Chen. And now her daughter is also in kindergarten. In the kindergarten, the two girls know that the closest relatives in this world are not only mothers, but also fathers. The two girls often ask her, why don't they have a father? When I heard the words of the two daughters, my heart was a little urgent. After all, when the child realizes that there is oddity in this world but does not have a father, this may cause the two daughters to face other people. Self-abasement. This is very detrimental to the growth of the two daughters. Except because of the daughter. There are also her own reasons. Although her status and wealth have already had a certain influence in the province. But in the end, she is a person after all. No matter how noble she is in the eyes of others, she is an ordinary person after all. She also wants to have love. She also wants to have a personal discussion about things. Go home from get off work and have someone eat and eat together. Tired at work, I can have a warm hug at home. When the two girls are married, she will stay with the other half for the rest of her life. However, imagination is beautiful, reality is cruel. Because of her identity and wealth, people approaching her have other purposes. What's more, her company's new drug is now at the end of the experimental stage. People who approach her at this time will only make her more vigilant. Unless she takes the initiative to approach, she can relax her vigilance. And Jiang Chen took the initiative to approach and it made her most unsuspecting and at the same time the most suitable candidate for a mate at the moment. After all, Jiang Chen is the biological father of two daughters. It can be said that if she hadn't reached the point where she liked each other with Jiang Chen, then she would not have reached the point where she liked each other with others. After all, she had a child. Others cannot fully accept her daughter. In addition, the cancer drug researched by her company is nearing completion and if it goes on the market, it will surely sweep the world by storm. At that time, it would be difficult for her to trust people close to her. Signed, no secret words, I want the recommendation ticket in your hands. Chapter 6. Tired at work, when you come home, you will find that home is cold. Qin Ran shook his head in his heart, abandoning some distracting thoughts. The most important thing at the moment is to learn more about Jiang Chen. Qin Ran pondered for a while, looked at Jiang Chen and said, your mother said, I will arrange a blind date for you. Jiang Chen nodded lightly without saying anything. Qin Ran was silent for a while, she looked at Jiang Chen and asked, if you never meet someone you like each other on a blind date, will it be because your parents urge you to marry or because you are getting older, just find a suitable one to make do? Live? No. Jiang Chen shook his head lightly. After Qin Ran heard this, he looked at Jiang Chen somewhat unexpectedly. Normally, after all, he has never met someone who likes each other and his parents have urged marriage and when he is old, most people will choose to find a suitable partner to live their lives. But Jiang Chen said no. She looked at Jiang Chen. Just now, when Jiang Chen said no, her tone was calm, but she gave her a very firm feeling, which made her a little curious. Qin Ran looked at him and said lightly, so sure. Jiang Chen glanced at her and couldn't help but recalled his previous marriage life. As he recalled, he shook his head slightly and said, people who don't get married because of love, what do you think of them after marriage? Qin Ran didn't respond. She wanted to know how Jiang Chen views marriage. She looked at Jiang Chen, what's it like? Jiang Chen's eyes were deep and he said leisurely. Tired at work, when you come home, you will find that home is cold. Slowly, even if you are tired from work, you don't want to go home. In the end, you will become loveless, speechless, and distrust each other. If you don't trust each other, you will beware of each other. In short, even though they are married, they are not as good as strangers. Relationship. Qin Ran kept looking at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen's expression and tone of voice gave her an illusion, as if Jiang Chen had experienced it personally. Of course, it might have been brain supplement or had seen it with his own eyes. However, what Jiang Chen said, she had also thought about marrying someone she didn't like, for her, it would be totally unacceptable. At this time, Jiang Chen's mobile phone rang the wretched alert tone. Jiang Chen looked at it and it was a message from his mother. Mom. I've contacted the matchmaker. At 11 o'clock tomorrow noon, we will go on a blind date. Then, Jiang's mother sent basic information about the blind date. Name. Yang Jing. Age. 26. Height. 168 centimeters. Weight. 50 kilograms. Education. Technical secondary school. Job. Manicurist. In good health. Contact. 18,912. And a few live photos of Yang Jing. After Jiang Chen took a look, he returned a message to his mother. Okay. Mom. It's still in Wanjuan Tower tomorrow. Jiang Chen. Good. After chatting for a few words, Jiang Chen put away the phone. When Qin Ran rang from Jiang Chen's phone, she had been paying attention, although from her perspective, the content of the information was unclear. But she also saw a rough idea. Your mother arranged the next blind date for you? Qin Ran looked at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen nodded lightly, tomorrow at 11 o'clock noon, in Wanjuan building. Qin Ran hummed softly, his expression as usual, but he was thinking. If Jiang Chen met someone who liked each other when he went on a blind date later, then she is very likely to die alone. But if she was asked not to let Jiang Chen go on a blind date now, she would not feel that impulse again. After thinking about it for a while, Qin Ran made a decision. If Jiang Chen meets someone he likes on a blind date behind him, then forget it. The relationship between her and Jiang Chen ends here. After all, she didn't have that obvious feeling for Jiang Chen now. It's just that after talking for a while today, I feel that Jiang Chen is somewhat similar to himself in some cognitive aspects. After eating, Jiang Chen and Qin Ran washed a bowl together, then Jiang Chen went back to the bedroom to take a shower, and Qin Ran took the two children back to his bedroom to take a shower. At night, Jiang Chen lay on the bed, his eyes open, thoughtful. Rebirth, how do you plan in this life? After rebirth, what he wants most is to meet people who like each other and then step into the palace of marriage. And now, Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan are his biological daughters. He also guessed what Qin Ran's purpose was. Qin Ran hired him to take care of the children, hoping to get in touch with him in normal life and observe him more. I also want to see if there can be feelings between the two. But it does not mean that if he is the child's biological father, Qin Ran will marry him. Qin Ran would also look at his character and his feelings. And for him. Although the two daughters were his own flesh and blood, if he was with Qin Ran because of this, wouldn't he repeat the same mistakes, and what is the difference between him and his previous marriage? Although he liked Qin Ran in his previous life, it has been too long after all, and some feelings have faded. In this life, you must marry someone you like each other. After thinking about it for a while, Jiang Chen made a decision. When he thought of his marriage life in his previous life, there was still a shadow. He would not marry Qin Ran just because the child is his. Similarly, Qin Ran would not marry him just because he is the father of the child. Both he and Qin Ran want to marry someone they like each other. Career can't stop either. Jiang Chen whispered, in life, in addition to marriage is very important, career is also very important. Wait for 10 times on the blind date and then finish the system task. Jiang Chen thought to himself, maybe this sign in reward can also sign in something helpful to his career. The next day. Qin Ran went to the company. Jiang Chen took Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan to the kindergarten. When it was sent to the kindergarten, Jiang Chen went back. Until 10:30, Jiang Chen drove to Wanjuan building. "Good noon, sir. How many are you?" The waiter at the entrance of Wanjuan building looked at Jiang Chen with a smile. When she saw Jiang Chen, she was a little surprised. After all, Jiang Chen had a big blind date yesterday, but he didn't expect to be here again today. 2. Jiang Chen smiled. The waiter brought Jiang Chen to table A9. Jiang Chen sat down, playing with his mobile phone. Within 5 minutes. At the door of Wanjuan building, there appeared a tall, beautiful young woman with a professional atmosphere. Jiang Chen's position is here. It seems that he is going to have a blind date here. The young woman Ning Ruoyan thought secretly. Half a month ago, Chairman Qin Ran asked her to investigate Jiang Chen's personal information. During the investigation, she secretly put a locator in Jiang Chen's car, positioning an automatic recording. More than half an hour ago, Jiang Chen answered the phone and mentioned the word blind date. She heard everything Jiang Chen said through the location and recording information obtained through the mobile phone software. The test tube baby made by the chairman uses staging donated by Jiang Chen. Although the chairman didn't say it, he wanted to come to the chairman to choose Jiang Chen as a mate. In her heart, Jiang Chen was not worthy of the chairman. Jiang Chen is just an ordinary family with average personal conditions. Compared with the chairman, he is far too far behind. However, since the chairman has found Jiang Chen, she naturally has the chairman's consideration. As the chairman's confidant secretary, she must figure out what Jiang Chen's character is. Chapter 7 Children are not born for me, but for your own sake. From the previous investigation, she did not find the problem. But this kind of thing sometimes requires long-term observation. After all, this is choosing a spouse, and the chairman chooses a spouse. If the chairman accidentally looks away, then life after marriage can be imagined. At that time, not only the chairman's body will be ruined by Jiang Chen by. The money earned by the chairman is divided into half of Jiang Chen's property after marriage. This is a shame. She doesn't know if the chairman vomits blood, but if misfortune really happens, as a fan and confidant secretary of the chairman, she will have to vomit blood first. In her heart, the chairman is the most perfect in the world. Although I did an IVF and gave birth to a baby. But the chairman's first time is still there. If Jiang Chen is a scumbag, then the chairman has suffered too much. Next week, the experimental phase of cancer drugs will be completely over. Cancer drugs will be announced early next month. Cancer drugs will be officially launched in major hospitals across the country in the middle of next month. The cancer drugs developed by the company can cure 100% of early-stage cancers, and intermediate-stage cancers have reached a 95% cure rate. Even if it cures late-stage cancers, the cure rate has fluctuated between 55% and 70%. If cancer drugs are launched, it will definitely shock the world, and the chairman's status will rise straight up at that time, reaching the real top ranks. At the same time, the money earned every day is also in units of more than 100 million yuan. After making so much money, if Jiang Chen was a scumbag in the end, he would have to give Jiang Chen hundreds of millions of dollars in divorce, which is a big loss. Although you can make Jiang Chen less than a dime through other means. But the chairman's perfect body can't be ruined by Jiang Chen. Good noon, madam, how many are you? The waiter at the door smiled and looked at Ning Ruoyan. After Ning Ruoyan heard this, she came back to her senses. She looked at the waiter and faintly said, 1. The waiter took Ning Ruoyan and arranged it at table A8. Jiang Chen sat at table A9. Ning Ruoyan was sitting at a table behind Jiang Chen. She glanced at Jiang Chen, who was sitting at the table in front of her, with her back facing her, and then the phone turned on the video. Jiang Chen, who was sitting in front, was playing with his mobile phone while thinking about his previous blind date. But the time interval is too long, the memory is a bit fuzzy. Just remember the first blind date and the last blind date. Jiang Chen glanced at the time. It was 10:55 and there were 5 minutes left and the blind date girl Yang Jing was almost here. At this time. Outside the Wanjuan building, a young woman appeared, wearing 9-cent jeans, a white shirt on her upper body, and high heels on her feet. She looked tall and thin. He wears heavy makeup on his face and has curly hair. Generally speaking, he is of medium appearance. She walked to the hall, glanced around in the hall, and finally fixed her gaze on Jiang Chen at table A9. When she first saw Jiang Chen, Yang Jing's eyes lit up. Yes, it's more handsome than the picture, and the height hasn't shrunk. Yang Jing thought to herself, and then she walked over. Hello, are you Jiang Chen? Yang Jing smiled and looked at Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen saw Yang Jing and smiled, Yang Jing. Yang Jing smiled, then sat down. Yang Jing looked at Jiang Chen and smiled, I feel good about your first impression. Jiang Chen chuckled slightly. In the memory of his previous life, he only remembered 10 dating experiences, which made him very annoyed. Although the time has passed for too long, some blind date experiences cannot be remembered, but he knows that what happens later will definitely be unpleasant. Jiang Chen looked at her and said, because it is a blind date, let's get straight to the subject. If there is no problem, how about getting a deeper understanding? Yang Jing smiled, it's just what I want. Yang Jing also gradually reduced her smile at this time and turned to become a little serious. She looked at Jiang Chen and asked, in the blind date information, it is said that you have a room, but it is not clear that it refers to your house or you. Personal wedding room? Wedding room? Jiang Chen said faintly. Full amount? Yang Jing's eyes lit up slightly. Full payment? Jiang Chen said faintly. His family conditions can't be said to be very good. Although the wedding house bought for him was bought in full, it also used up the family's savings over the years and borrowed it from relatives and friends. Point. However, the borrowed money has basically been paid off by the family in the past 2 years. After Yang Jing listened, her eyes changed. Now most families buy houses with loans and there are still a few who can buy houses in full. This shows that Jiang Chen's family still has some money. Unexpectedly, Jiang Chen's family opened a small supermarket, but he could still earn some money. But Yang Jing suddenly felt something was wrong. Jiang Chen's wedding house was bought in full. If she divorced Jiang Chen, wouldn't the house have nothing to do with her? After all, it is premarital property. Yang Jing thought of this, her face darkened, she looked at Jiang Chen and said, if you get married, I will ask for a gift of 680,000 yuan. If you can't give a gift of 680,000 yuan, I will go to the law firm to be fair and get married under your name. Give me half of the room. Then, just give me a gift of 188,000. After Jiang Chen heard this, his face was slightly cold, even if he lived another lifetime, but when he heard Yang Jing's shameless request, he couldn't help feeling angry. My parents bought me the house, why do you think that if you marry you, you have to give up half of the house to you? Jiang Chen's tone became colder. He remembered that many women would abandon the husband's wedding room as a loan. But now, he found that some women were really unsatisfied. His wedding house was bought in full, but the other party wanted to take half of his house. He looked at Yang Jing and wanted to hear Yang Jing's reasons. Yang Jing's expression turned cold when she heard Jiang Chen's words. She stared at Jiang Chen and said coldly, only I can have a baby. I gave birth to you and I usually serve you. I want half of what you want. The house is not too much, right? After Jiang Chen heard this, he sneered. He looked at Yang Jing and said coldly, you said to have a child for me, I want to ask, is the child born to call you a mother? The child is not born for me, but also for your own sake. Jiang Chen continued, as for you said that you still need to serve me. As far as I know, when a man reaches 30, he cares more about money, when a woman reaches 30, he cares more about Xing. In addition, it is too far-fetched to say to serve me. This kind of thing is a matter of both parties, not only you are serving me, I'm also serving you. Jiang Chen finished, giving Yang Jing a light look. At this time, Yang Jing's face was extremely cold, her eyes were sharp and she stared at Jiang Chen coldly, meaning, do you want to have sex? I should give you a point. As for you saying white whoring. Do you regard the person you dated with your blind date as a prostitute and compare yourself to a lady? Jiang Chen felt sick. On a blind date, he was inexplicably regarded as a prostitute, but Yang Jing compared herself to a young lady. After Yang Jing listened, her eyes were extremely cold. She stared at Jiang Chen coldly, her tone was cold, even if I am a young lady. It costs 368,498 yuan to go to the clubhouse this year. Just 500 yuan a day, 365 days a year, 182,000 yuan. I'm married to you, you don't even give me half a house. Chapter 8 Mom and Dad, how about we too? Hearing Yang Jing's words, Jiang Chen felt like the three views were refreshed. Does Yang Jing mean? Is a woman selling herself for a long time when she gets married? When a man is married, it is a long-term prostitution. Jiang Chen looked at Yang Jing with a cold face and said coldly, since you compare yourself to a young lady and you count your money by the day, you might as well just be a young lady. Because of their faces and emotional reasons, the voices were not suppressed. Although the voices were not loud, they were also heard by the people around them. The surrounding guests, the cashier at the bar, and the waiters in several areas all looked at Yang Jing in shock. FK. What's so special? There is such a blind date. It's simply ruining the three views. FK'd. Everyone was shocked and they heard other meanings from Yang Jing's words. It's like when Yang Jing gets married, she is selling herself for a long time and compares her future husband to a long-term clientele. This is so terribly ruined. However, among the people present, there were also a few women who actually felt that what Yang Jing said made sense. It just feels something is wrong again. Ning Ruoyan, who was sitting at table A8, was also dumbfounded at this moment. She didn't expect that she would have encountered this kind of thing when she followed and secretly recorded Jiang Chen's blind date. This Yang Jing's words are too ruinous. Doesn't that mean that a woman's marriage means long-term prostitution and a man's marriage means long-term prostitution? But I didn't even think about it. Jiang Chen had height and looks. He was in his mid-20s and his physical fitness was at his peak. And Yang Jing. She can only comment on a medium-looking appearance if she has a lot of money. This is still the case of makeup. What does the ghost look like after removing the makeup? Even in the case of makeup, it is not Yang Jing who is selling it, but Jiang Chen. The value of the face determines who is selling and who is selling. At this time, Yang Jing's face was extremely gloomy and she wished to step forward and slap Jiang Chen immediately, but she found that everyone around her was staring at her and some people even started to use their mobile phones to record videos. This made her expression even more gloomy. She stared at Jiang Chen, stared fiercely, then picked up her bag and left directly. After Yang Jing left, many guests just started talking. This blind date is so terribly ruinous. Although I often hear some unreasonable demands from women, the demands of this blind date girl are unreasonable and outrageous. What they say is really ruining the 3 views. To ruin 3 views. There were also many people present who looked at Jiang Chen from time to time, feeling that Jiang Chen had not embarrassed the man. Unlike some men who lick a dog, they are guilty of cheapness and ignorantly please women. As everyone knows, other goddesses don't treat licking dogs as human beings. Even if they occasionally say good things to licking dogs, it is also purposeful, such as letting the licking dog buy this for her. Ding. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking around for the man. You have a sign-in reward. Check in. Sign in. Jiang Chen thought silently, with some expectations in his heart. Ding. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. At 10 times more refreshing talent. Jiang Chen asked with a question mark, 10 times more talented. What is the talent of 10 times refreshing point? Jiang Chen asked in his heart. Ding. 10 times more refreshing talent can make people feel 10 times better. Jiang Chen now made up for it, 10 times more refreshing talent if it works on his future wife. Isn't that? Jiang Chen shook his head lightly, abandoning distracting thoughts. This sign-in reward is very useful to him, but it won't be used temporarily. After all, he doesn't have a wife yet. Jiang Chen ordered 2 dishes at this time and planned to wait until he finished eating. As for Ning Ruoyan at table A8, since the blind date girl Yang Jing left, she had already put away her mobile phone, ordered 2 dishes, and planned to go back after eating. After Jiang Chen had eaten, he went home first, until 2:40 in the afternoon, he drove to the kindergarten to pick up Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyun. In the kindergarten, the teacher is already queuing the children, waiting for their parents to pick up the children. In the crowd, Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyun looked at the parents who came to pick up their children. These parents were male and female, old and young. Some couples came together to pick up the children. The couple held the child's hand together, looking very warm. When Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyun saw this scene, their envious eyes turned purple and they wished to go home immediately and let their parents hold their hands like this. At this time, Jiang Chen smiled and walked over, Zhinian, Ziyun. Dad. Dad. After the 2 children saw Jiang Chen, the whole person became happy and trot to Jiang Chen with a smile. Dad, I want to hug. Qin Zhinian. I want to hug too. Qin Ziyun also followed. Jiang Chen smiled indulgently and then he hugged the 2 babies into his arms with one hand and the 2 babies also naturally put their arms around Jiang Chen's neck with one hand. The teacher came over at this moment, she looked at Jiang Chen and smiled, why didn't Zhinian and Ziyun's mother come to pick up the child recently? Jiang Chen smiled and said, her company is relatively busy and I have been picking up the children recently. The teacher nodded with a smile and the 2 chatted for a while. Jiang Chen took the 2 babies back. Go home. After playing with the 2 babies for 2 hours, Jiang Chen smiled at the 2 babies and said, Daddy is going to cook, you 2 will watch cartoons for a while. Dad, I want to eat chicken stewed mushrooms. Qin Ziyun ate the chicken stewed mushrooms Jiang Chen made yesterday and fell in love completely. Dad, I also want to eat chicken stewed with mushrooms. Qin Zhinian said at this time. Daddy will do it for you. Jiang Chen smiled, then went to the kitchen and started to work. Until 5:30 in the afternoon. Qin ran his back. She glanced at the direction of the kitchen, then looked at the 2 girls who were watching cartoons on the sofa and then sat next to the 2 girls. At this time, Jiang Chen also walked out of the kitchen. He saw Qin Ran coming back and said, wash your hands and eat. Qin Ran nodded lightly and took the 2 babies to wash their hands. After a while, the 4 sat down. Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyun ate the food. Qin Ran and Jiang Chen were also eating. Halfway through the meal, the two babies were full first. Qin Jinian and Qin Ziyuan looked at each other at this time. They thought of the scene of many young parents picking up their children when they were in the kindergarten today. It was very warm. And they have never done this before. Mom and Dad, we are leaving school today, and the parents of the friends are holding the hands of the friends together. We have never done this before. Qin Jinian looked at Jiang Chen and said to Qin Ran. Qin Ran. Jiang Chen. Mom, can we do the same? Qin Ziyuan looked at Jiang Chen and Qin Ran expectantly. Jiang Chen looked at the expectant eyes of the two children, feeling vaguely uncomfortable. In the previous life, the two children did not have a father, and Qin Ran has always been single. The child had no father in his childhood. When facing the kindergarten friends, he was already inferior. NS. Chapter 9 Mom and Dad, shall we sleep together? However, although he wanted to agree to the child's request, Qin Ran had to agree to this kind of thing. Moreover, it is not easy for him to take the initiative to speak, lest Qin Ran think that he wants to take advantage of the opportunity. Qin Ran on the side saw the expectation in the eyes of the two girls, feeling vaguely uncomfortable. Since my daughter went to kindergarten and learned that there is still a dad in this world, but she has never seen her father, she has started to feel inferior. The appearance of Jiang Chen made the two daughters subconsciously regard Jiang Chen as their father. But some of the care from my father hasn't been fully realized. Now I see how the fathers of other children in the kindergarten treat their children, and the two daughters will think more about it. Mom and Dad, okay. Qin Ziyuan looked at Jiang Chen and Qin Ran, the look of expectation in his eyes gradually turned into prayer. This made Qin Ran feel even more uncomfortable. Qin Ran hummed softly. Upon seeing this, the two children happily took Jiang Chen and Qin Ran's hands directly, Mom and Dad. Qin Ran glanced at Jiang Chen and said nothing. When the four of them arrived in an open place, Jiang Chen stood on the far left, Qin Ran stood on the far right, and the two standing in the middle were Qin Jinian and Qin Ziyuan. Mom, take a picture with your phone. Qin Ziyuan looked up at Qin Ran and said. Qin Ran. Qin Ran hesitated for a while, but under the repeated urging of his two daughters, he reluctantly agreed. She turned on the time-lapse camera function and placed the phone in front of her. Then returned to the original position. The four looked at the camera of the phone. Click, click, click. 9 continuous shooting after shooting. Qin Jinian and Qin Ziyuan hopped over to take the mobile phone and looked at the photos in the mobile phone with a happy smile on their faces. By the way, I see many parents holding hands and holding hands. Mom and Dad, I haven't seen you holding hands yet. Qin Jinian raised his head and looked at Jiang Chen and Qin Ran said. Jiang Chen. Qin Ran glanced at Qin Jinian, she wanted to say, Jiang Chen is not your father. But after thinking about it, Jiang Chen is really the biological father of the two daughters. Only. Qin Ran felt that the two daughters were too deep in the play and really regarded Jiang Chen as his father. If she said anything bad at this time, it would be difficult for the two daughters to accept it. At this moment, Qin Ziyuan came over. She took Jiang Chen's hand and said to Jiang Chen, Dad, you stand with your mother and I will take pictures of you. Jiang Chen. Qin Ran. The two looked at each other and didn't know what to say. They just stood together but still kept some distance and their clothes did not touch each other. Qin Ziyuan, who was taking pictures, frowned when she saw Jiang Chen and Qin Ran, dissatisfied, Mom and Dad, let you hold hands. Qin Jinian on the side was also looking anxious and simply stepped forward, grabbing the hands of Qin Ran and Jiang Chen and put them together abruptly. Jiang Chen. Qin Ran. The two did not speak nor looked at each other, but different feelings were born in their hearts. Jiang Chen felt that Qin Ran's hands were tender, soft and boneless, and he felt very comfortable. As for Qin Ran. She was still quite calm originally, but when her hand was squeezed with Jiang Chen's, somehow, she felt that this hand, which was larger than her, was full of warmth and a sense of security. Qin Ran didn't know what was going on. It was obvious that her sense of Jiang Chen was still in a normal state before, so how did she hold a hand, and her feelings changed? Is it true that as the book says, physical contact between men and women can quickly heat up the feeling? Click, click, click. Qin Ziyuan, who was taking pictures in the front, kept taking pictures. After taking a few shots, Qin Ziyuan said, Dad, you hug your mother's waist. Jiang Chen. Qin Ran's ability to accept holding hands is already the biggest bottom line. As for cuddling his waist, no. But it's not easy to reject the two girls directly. She stroked her forehead and said to the two girls, Mom is not feeling well, so I will shoot another day. Without giving the two girls a chance to speak, Qin Ran took a few steps forward and took the phone before returning to his bedroom. Qin Jinian was a little disappointed when she met Qin Ziyuan, but when her mother got better, she could shoot again. Dad, I want to hug. I also want. At this time, the two children walked to Jiang Chen and said, "I don't know what's going on." Since school was over today, when their father hugged them, they felt very comfortable being held by their father. Jiang Chen didn't say anything. He hugged the two babies in his arms but felt something was wrong. Although the two babies were a bit tired of him before, they seemed to be even more tired today. Could it be? Jiang Chen suddenly remembered the tenfold refreshing talent that he signed during the blind date today, which can make people feel tenfold. In other words, normal physical contact will also make people very comfortable. Then I just held hands with Qin Ran. How does Qin Ran feel? In the room, Qin Ran felt a little uneasy at this time. Just after shaking hands with Jiang Chen, she felt a different feeling in her heart. This feeling seemed to be aimed at Jiang Chen. But this is too sudden. Qin Ran lay on his side on the bed, looking at the photo just taken on the phone. In the photo, her expressions and reactions when she and Jiang Chen held hands were taken. She looked at Jiang Chen in the photo first and felt that although Jiang Chen looked calm, she seemed a bit restless. Qin Ran couldn't help thinking. She and Jiang Chen had such strong feelings when she held hands. Then how did Jiang Chen feel? Qin Ran shook his head lightly, abandoning distracting thoughts, then flipped through the photos and found the photo she took with Jiang Chen and the two girls together. Looking at the photos, Qin Ran had an illusion, as if she and Jiang Chen were really married. "I don't want to have a headache." Qin Ran put the phone aside, closed his eyes and rested. It wasn't until 7 o'clock in the evening that Qin Ran walked out. She looked at the two babies who were watching the cartoon and said, "Come and take a bath." After Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan heard about it, they arrived at Qin Ran's. As for Jiang Chen, he also went to take a bath. After taking a shower, I watched TV in the living room. After half an hour, Qin Ran walked out with the two babies in pajamas. "Dad, can I sleep with you today?" Qin Zhinian walked over and said. Qin Ziyuan also followed, "I also want to sleep with Dad." Jiang Chen. Qin Ran glanced at the two daughters, feeling a little hurt. How long has it been in contact with Jiang Chen and wanted to sleep with Jiang Chen? "Dad, okay." Qin Zhinian and Qin Ziyuan looked at Jiang Chen with Shui Ling's big eyes. Jiang Chen looked at Qin Ran with inquiries in his eyes. Qin Ran didn't say anything, just nodded lightly. "Mom and Dad, shall we sleep together?" At this moment, Qin Zhinian said, eyes full of expectation. After hearing this, Qin Ran frowned and refused directly, "No." P.S. Ask for a recommendation ticket. Chapter 10. Qin Ran's face was slightly dark at this time, and he felt that if he didn't want to show his two daughters anymore, he might let her kiss Jiang Chen in the next meeting. Qin Ran's appearance at the moment seemed obviously a bit angry, and he became a little more majestic, which made the two children afraid to speak. The two children were a little scared of Qin Ran, so they subconsciously walked to Jiang Chen and fell into Jiang Chen's arms. The two children only felt that they had enough security in Jiang Chen's arms. Jiang Chen hugged the two babies lightly and didn't know what to say. Qin Ran sat down at this moment and watched TV without knowing what to say. Speechless for a while. Until 10 minutes later, Jiang Chen's mobile phone rang the wretched alert tone. Jiang Chen glanced at it, it was sent by his mother. "Mom. The matchmaker introduced you another one. It will be a blind date at 11 o'clock tomorrow and the location is still in Wenjuan building." Then, Jiang's mother sent information about the blind date. Jiang Chen glanced at the blind date's information and then didn't look at it again. For him, the blind date is just to complete the system task and sign in to give some rewards. What he really wants is to find a partner who likes each other because of love. In addition, there are career aspects. He will start when he completes the system tasks in his career. As for finding the other half, Jiang Chen was lost in thought. On the sofa, Jiang Chen sat in the middle of the two babies, who leaned on him to watch TV. As for Qin Ran, he was sitting on the far right, but only a child was separated from Jiang Chen, and the two were not far away. Qin Ran noticed it when Jiang Chen's phone Wecha rang, and at the same time remembered that Jiang Chen had gone on a blind date during the day. Regarding Jiang Chen's daytime blind date, she looked at it with the mentality of letting it go. If Jiang Chen met someone who liked each other during the blind date, then the relationship between her and Jiang Chen would end here. After all, yesterday, her sense of Jiang Chen was still in a normal state, but she just felt that Jiang Chen could talk to her in some ways. But after taking a family portrait together not long ago, and after her holding hands with Jiang Chen, Qin Ran always felt that something was wrong with him. In her heart, she wanted to know about Jiang Chen's blind date during the day. When she closed her eyes and rested her mind in the bedroom before, she was thinking about how she felt about Jiang Chen. It just didn't come to a conclusion. After all, she just took a photo with Jiang Chen and then held a hand, so she wouldn't like Jiang Chen, right? Qin Ran watched the TV and was silent for 2 minutes and finally asked Jiang Chen in a casual chat, how about the blind date during the day? After listening, Jiang Chen glanced at Qin Ran, then set his eyes on the TV and said to Qin Ran, "It collapsed." "Broken?" Qin Ran glanced at Jiang Chen, feeling a little puzzled. Jiang Chen collapsed once before, but today the blind date collapsed again. Although she knows that the blind date has changed, but the blind date fell twice on the spot, which made her a little curious. How did it collapse? Qin Ran. Jiang Chen was okay, so he chatted with Qin Ran casually. At the same time, deep down in his heart, he actually wanted to know what Qin Ran thought. Jiang Chen said lightly, "First she asked me for a gift of 680,000 and then said that if she couldn't give her a gift of 680,000, she would give her half of my wedding room and then give her a gift of 188,000. Qin Ran raised his brows slightly, a gift of 680,000 yuan. Or transfer half of the house to a blind date girl and then give a bride price of 188,000. This blind date girl really dared to ask. Then what did you say? Qin Ran was a little curious and wanted to know how Jiang Chen responded to the blind date because there is a set of logic behind the way a person speaks and what he says. The logic behind this can give her a clearer understanding of Jiang Chen. Jiang Chen watched the TV and said lightly, "I said that my parents bought the house. Why do you think that if you marry her, you have to give her half of the house? She said that she can give birth to children and will serve me after getting married. I said that when a child is born, do I have to call you mother?" Jiang Chen told Qin Ran about the blind date during the day. Finally, Jiang Chen glanced at Qin Ran and said, "This blind date girl didn't want to live a good life after getting married, especially when she said that it costs 368 and 498 to go to the club once to play. I suspect that she has been a technician in the club. Especially when she compares herself to a young lady and compares her blind date to a prostitute, which is disgusting." After Qin Ran listened, 4 words appeared in his heart, "I have gained a lot of knowledge." From what Jiang Chen said, she felt that the blind date girl was positioning herself as a young lady and the blind date man as a client. It's unlucky to meet this kind of person on a blind date. Did you tell your parents about this? Qin Ran asked. Jiang Chen nodded lightly, "I went back this afternoon and my mother just sent a message to let me go on a blind date tomorrow." Qin Ran glanced at Jiang Chen, raised his brow slightly, "And will go on a blind date tomorrow." Hearing this news, Qin Ran felt a little uncomfortable, but it was not obvious. She didn't say anything and she didn't know what she was thinking. Jiang Chen didn't say anything. The two children just watched TV like this, but Qin Ran was absent, thinking about Jiang Chen's next blind date tomorrow. About half an hour later. Qin Ran's mobile phone widget sounded a reminder. Qin Ran glanced at it and it was her secretary Ning Ruoyan who had sent it. She clicked on it and took a look. Ning Ruoyan sent a video first and she saw Jiang Chen in the video at a glance, although Jiang Chen was facing her back in the video. Qin Ran glanced at Jiang Chen on the sofa watching TV, then got up and went back to his bedroom. Watching the video in the bedroom. After watching the video, Ning Ruoyan also sent a message. Ning Ruoyan. Chairman, this is a video of Jiang Chen's blind date during the day, which can give you a clearer understanding of Jiang Chen. Qin Ran. Qin Ran. I asked you to check Jiang Chen before, but didn't ask you to continue to check later. Ning Ruoyan. Ning Ruoyan. I thought I would continue to investigate. Ning Ruoyan. I won't check it. Qin Ran. Qin Ran was a bit entangled. Yesterday, she didn't have the urge to continue investigating Jiang Chen. After all, she felt normal for Jiang Chen yesterday, but something happened today that made her a little impulsive to continue investigating Jiang Chen. 2 minutes later. Qin Ran sent a message to Ning Ruoyan. Check. In the end, Qin Ran chose Kongson. Since he wanted to check, he would check. Although Jiang Chen was secretly investigated, if this behavior were to let Jiang Chen know, Jiang Chen would be disgusted. But she couldn't help it. She is looking for someone who likes each other and can get married. The prerequisite is to check the person's past experience first to judge the person's behavior. If the character is not good, everything is empty talk. In addition, if she didn't check it carefully, she made a mistake in her judgment on Jiang Chen and she couldn't accept the consequences. Before the monthly salary of 30,000 yuan, it should be increased to 50,000 yuan a month. Secretly investigating Jiang Chen, this kind of behavior is always bad and she can only compensate Jiang Chen with money.